back to the Talos of Tech podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm once again joined by Nick and Randy. How's it going today?
Go ahead, Randy. Take it away. This is your show.
I just instantly gave up. I'm like,
Namaste. I know, me and Nick just like, who's going to go? Namaste, meaning, nah, I'm going to stay right here in my chair.
we have
what's up, guys?
so much to talk about this week because it was a little slice of heaven in the middle of quarantine. We finally got Magic keyboard cases way ahead of schedule. Didn't have to wait till May. I got the SE here, which I'm excited to talk more about. But firstly, I know my opinions on the Magic keyboard case. Let's start with Nick, because he's kind of the hardcore iPad user. How are you enjoying Magic keyboard case thus far?
You know, it's really good.
Good.
As much as I was a little bit concerned with the shakiness and stability and that USB-C port and the trackpad and the back, and I was very concerned about this keyboard because it's such a departure from what I'm used to using, which is the clearly superior Magic Folio, whatever this thing is.
And here we go.
No, there's no magic in that.
Yeah, it's the regular one. But this is actually pretty good. Like, I'm not going to lie.
It is amazing. It's the best iPad accessory ever.
It might be, but did I need it? No, because my last one was that good. So it's kind of that debate that I got going on here. Like, this is a great...
You're a liar.
This is a great keyboard case. It makes my iPad feel new and fresh, even though the new and fresh iPad is going to get here on Monday.
It's still not here.
It's still not here. I've been waiting for 3 weeks now. Goodness, this is sad. But
next week for sure. Next week
for sure. Maybe it will be here.
For sure, maybe.
So, what do you think about it, Randy?
Exactly what I anticipated when I said this was going to be. You know how Randy's always right about everything?
He's still right about everything.
I'm always right. Even when I'm wrong, I'm right. I just want to point something out because nobody else brought it up. I snoop on your guys' streams and stuff like that, and I just want you guys to notice something. And I'm going to demo it in lifetime because it's so cool, and why an Apple keyboard is better than some third party and everything. We could talk about the fluidity, and we all know how good it is. But right when you first open it, the first half like that, it doesn't turn on. It's not until the magnetic part comes off on the back does it wake up. And that is your layer of like, okay, we're not ready to try to read your face and go and it doesn't like want to unlock. It just does it. It just works. Steve Jobs, please tell me you like this in the grave. Not
in the grave. It's
not that heavy. I remember I think it was you, Drew. If not, I was watching somebody else who got it early, one day before me. Jerk. I was thinking like, oh, as the weight's gonna be heavy, somebody like iMore or 9 to 5 Mac or what Mac.
It's heavier than the iPad itself.
Yes, it is.
It's not top heavy though. No. It doesn't feel like it's gonna roll back if you angle it right. Yeah, of course. That's called momentum. But
you can flip it a lot easier than a MacBook probably if you were angry.
I gotta call Nick out on something too. See that, Nick? Yeah. Floating. It's like the iMac. He said he feels misled.
And is the proper verbiage there, Randy.
Hey, I know how to spoke. Don't correct me. I English gooder. Okay?
I'm glad you English gooder. I will think of a funny response later.
Okay, but that looks like this looks like a fake iMac, which for all the right reasons though. A fake iMac that got everything right about the iMac face camera thing.
So what you're telling me we need to do is have a 16-inch iPad Pro.
No. What I'm telling you is that this is perfect in every way.
Except the price, maybe. The price is kind of high.
Price is subjective. I've saved a lot of money for this.
That's true. I was going to say, that's probably why it's it's different for me because of how much functionality it adds to the iPad versus I am frustrated by something like the Pro Stand. Like, I think that's stupid. Because it's $1,000 just to hold the screen up, and it doesn't come with any kind of stand on its own. Whereas this, it doesn't. It's not like you have to. It floats, but it's not like you have to buy this accessory for the iPad to be used. That's the whole beauty of it. Is like the Pro Display XDR is kind of, you know, you either have to get the VESA mount or you have to get that stand. And there's no like base, like I wish they would have included at least like an iMac style basic stand with it that you can use just for basic stuff. But if you want the pro angles,
basic.
Yeah, if you want the non-basic stuff, you can spend the $1,000. Let it be an option. That's fine. But the fact that you basically would get it with nothing to sustain itself, whereas the iPad Pro can stand on its own. You can hold it.
You
can
balance
use
it just perfectly. Since it's a square design, you can have the iPad stand on its own.
Exactly. Even with the
oh my god, Nick!
Even with the LiDAR sensor, I think it can stand on its own.
I think you're right because those angles are amazing. But do you guys love how smooth it can transition from trackpad to finger, and there's no glitch or
it can do both.
Hang up
actually.
or hiccup.
Have you noticed that?
No,
you can touch the display while using the cursor, which I wasn't expecting.
You can use 2 trackpads and a finger all at once.
I don't know.
Oh my god, guys, this is game changing.
I don't know how you would
you have to be kind of tricky, but it's possible.
You gotta have to use your nose and then a finger for each trackpad.
DJ and Sweeney's like with the trackpad.
Maybe they could make an app that takes advantage of that. No, but it's like it adds a whole new level of functionality to the iPad that wasn't there before.
For you, because you chose not to get a keyboard, Drew.
This could not have been possible with the Smart Folio. That's my point.
It was. I used it for many months with the clearly superior Magic Trackpad 2. And
I don't have a trackpad.
Well, that's your problem.
Jump
that's
out your first story window.
Okay.
But I'm saying that's a universal accessory. This trackpad means I don't like if I go to the couch with this thing, I don't want to have a Magic Trackpad on the floor next to me that I have to interact with. Like you're talking about a desk setup. This thing,
I am
laptop.
That's fine. I don't really use it as a laptop. I use it. I use both laptops, my iPad and my MacBook, on the desk all the time. So maybe that's where it's coming from. But I'm just looking at it and like, yes, it's a great case. I'm glad I got it. It's pretty cool. It balances cool. It's interesting technology, fun. But, you know, my old one was really good, too. Like, I had no complaints with the angles. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, there are only 2 angles. It sucks. Well, both the angles were always fine for me. I was never in a position where I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
There's only 2 genders. I'm making a joke. I'm making a joke. Just make a joke.
There's only 2 iPad positions. That escalated quickly.
There's only 2 angles on the iPad. That's right, Nick. There's only 2
Well,
genders.
now this is infinite. There are infinite angles on this case.
It's modern. That's the point.
It's
See,
lovely.
we can still make this joke work.
Okay.
It's modern. Hey, so the $1 million question. Is it now a PC replacement?
Yes, it always has.
It was before. Yeah. This closes the gap further.
I say no, it's not.
Well, PC replacement is a very, very, very broad term because there's a ton of people that use PCs for things that iPads can do since 5 years ago. So it's not.
If I may, really quickly, Drew, I need to rephrase my question because this is actually tailored to you and specifically your dad.
Okay.
Can students use this now?
They could before. That hasn't changed.
You said I remember you saying they need a trackpad.
Some do, some don't. Depends on the student.
Oh.
It's still a huge spectrum.
Guys, I
thought it was dependent on the school for
just
testing.
An iPad with the keyboard. I did not need a
I started the
trackpad.
tech. I did
that's different.
a whole year of
not.
tech videos just on the iPad Pro from 2015 with just an Apple Pencil 1. There was no keyboard. There was no mouse support of any kind. It was just pencil screen, and I did my note taking on that. I wrote essays on that. I used it for everything. So
But you couldn't test out on it or something.
Test? No. Oh, you mean for schools?
I distinctly remember you say. That's yeah,
like
yeah.
Chromebooks?
I think that's more of a software thing. I don't even know if like schools are not going to buy iPad Pros with Magic keyboards. I mean, that's ridiculous. They're going to be
maybe
buying,
not in 2020, but in 2025 when it's cheap.
I think they're still for school testing and their weird laws and stuff like that. They'll probably still require.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. You did say all that. You did. I remember you talking about this.
This is a very specific use case for certain schools that have state testing, which is now not even relevant because of the pandemic. But they would still require certain operating systems that would run an in-browser type experience for the testing. I don't think it was a matter of it needed a cursor or not. I think it had something to do with the size of the keyboard and the OS the laptop was running, and it comes down to price. So I don't think if schools are buying iPads, they're going to buy the 10.2-inch one, and they're not going to get the iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard. But I mean, what the Magic Keyboard does is add more use cases that the iPad used to not have for more people. Because before it was like, okay, it's an alternative. It's an alternative now that it's a trackpad incorporated with the keyboard. Now it's full on laptop territory. You can use the entire iPad without ever touching the display now, which by my definitions means it's a laptop in that configuration. But again, it's still a 2-in-1 because it's so easy to take off, which means that the gap between what a laptop can do, what a MacBook can do, and what an iPad can do has thinned. It's gotten thinner. It's still a gap.
Even though the iPad has gotten thicker.
Yeah, it's gotten thicker. Which, by the way, I think the Magic Keyboard case will make it
so confused.
much harder to bend the iPad.
True. This is one thing I am looking forward to. I'm not worried about bending it.
Is it Nick and Sweeney proof?
We will see. I'm going to be taking very good care of my technology because you've harassed me about it for years now. So I'm going to be doing a better
We're
job.
helping you, Nick. We're good friends. We're helping
This
you.
is the best kind of harassment.
My devices are thankful for both of you. I appreciate that.
So your iPad is bent. Does it still fit on the Magic Keyboard case?
It does.
All right. So you ain't that bent.
Ain't that straight? I don't know what you said. But I ain't that straight.
Well, it ain't that bad.
If its magnets can hold on, okay.
Oh, I haven't done a Joe Exotic impression since I did the mullet.
Ooh,
that's okay.
Well, Nick, it ain't that bad.
So you still glad you're getting a new one, or?
Yeah, actually, mostly because of that stupid camera hole, and that is
don't lie.
That is just not cool.
You're the one guy I know that's really bothered by that.
Thank you.
I'm also the one guy who's buying the new one, which is probably why I'm so bothered by it.
I'm glad I know you. I want to know one guy with the new one. I just don't want to be that guy.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I want someone else to waste $800.
No, it was more than 800, but it's not a waste.
Is it?
It's not a waste though.
He needs it.
A terabyte iPad Pro, 12.9 inch. Yeah.
Okay, so
with cellular.
I want to make a correction. I told Nick about this like offline during the week, but I'm pretty sure at one point I mentioned that I had a 64 gig iPad Pro. That is not the case because I don't treat iPad like iPhone. It's 256, and that's why it's been running so smooth still, and I haven't run out.
If I would have had 256 on my 3rd gen, I probably would not be upgrading right now. But since I'm so constrained with 64, I'm just screw it. And then we go straight to terabyte.
Consult with us before you make a purchase, and we'll tell you what you need to do.
The council will decide your fate.
Run your life.
Oh, the council. I'm a part of the council. How does this work?
I am the council.
I am the Senate.
Yeah, don't get him started.
Oh, you threatening me, Master Drew.
He's starting.
Too late. Oh, we're kicking off impressions. Okay, excuse me. Quite frankly,
now it begins.
Yeah.
All right, Drew. How do we normally rein this in?
Yeah. No, excuse me.
Just hang him up. Let's mute him for a second.
How do we remove him from a call? Maybe if we just push right here.
I didn't know you guys were Carol Baskin.
We don't have that in the budget. But the main reason I don't think
we don't have anything in the budget, Drew. What are you talking about? We have a budget?
I will never financially recover from this. There is not a additional USB-C port on the Smart Folio keyboard, which is why I would say it's objectively worse, because you basically I know that we have lots of different use cases, but there are oftentimes I use my iPad at my desk and not on my lap. And in that use case, it's really, really nice to have the keyboard case as kind of a dedicated iPad stand, because I know I've been arguing with a lot of people about the keyboard case. This is like classic Taylosive addict days, where I'm in love with an Apple product and there's a ton of people that hate it and think it's overpriced and stupid.
You're in love with an Apple product and there's a ton of people who are wrong.
Exactly. And we haven't had that in a while. For the longest time, it's been I'm mad at Apple and everyone else is defending them, and we're finally going back to the good old days, so I'm happy. But there are some people that are like, this isn't really a case, this is just a stand, and I hate that you can't fold it in a way to let you draw on it. And I'm like, that's why they make it so easy to take off. And I enjoy that separation because I like the option of being able to pull the case off when you need to, have a thin, light device, and just use the touch interface. And then when you're ready for a more input-heavy task with a trackpad or a keyboard, you can dock it. And now with that additional port, when you dock it, it just starts charging. And I don't have to touch a wire to get it to start charging. So I'm not even using the iPad Pro port anymore. I haven't plugged anything into that.
That's kind of my hold up on this whole thing. Like, it was more minimal with one port. Now we have two. And I have an unused port.
That's
This is the equivalent of your Qi coils. This is wireless charging.
That's an
now.
iPad's Qi coil, pretty much, because it's
This is now wireless charging.
kind of,
Boom.
yeah. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, there is a
Plugless
cable
charging.
going to the coil with wireless chargers. You know, you have a cable going to the Qi charger itself, but
And there's a cable going to the Folio case or the Magic Keyboard case.
right, in that way, you basically drop the iPad and boom, starts charging. And I really like that because when I'm ready to do like a photo thumbnail, I don't use the keyboard and trackpad for that. So I pull it off, and then I can do the Apple Pencil masking, and I can make the video thumbnail. And then when I'm done, or I want to do something like Discord where I do a lot of typing or email, or when we do our spreadsheets, that's when we can dock it to the...
So you mentioned...
I would say it's less of an iPhone and more of an Apple Watch because it's magnetic too of charging.
Yeah, it has
True.
to be aligned perfectly. So you mentioned
true.
spreadsheets, Drew. What software do you guys use? I noticed that Excel still isn't updated for mouse support. Do you guys use numbers
we use
on the iPad?
Google Sheets.
Okay.
I use numbers for certain things.
Randy, how do we
but the
remove Drew
majority
from
of our
this call
sheets-
now? Why are you using Google products?
We block them on
I didn't set
everything.
it up.
Okay.
My wife set it up, but all the spreadsheets I've set up are on numbers. But either way, like it works a lot better than touch.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Because numbers uses the full power of like little snaps and the right mouse clicks, and that's very
I love
optimized.
those little snaps in different apps when the
know.
cursor fills in the
It just goes-
different. Oh, it's so like fluid. It's so satisfying. Sometimes when I find one of those little snap things, I'll just go back and forth to watch it. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm trying to see the little in-between shape the cursor makes. I'm like, what does it
Doing
look
it right
like
now.
when it's halfway between, the bubble and the dot? But
The real
just
question-
because it's ProMotion, having a
I try to psych it out when it transitioned from the white cursor to the
black
one
Yeah.
based off of the background. My background is my little blue diamond, whatever.
Yeah.
It has a bunch of lights and darks. So I find a part and I hover over it and I slowly go like that just so I can watch it transition. And then I go, oh my God, this quarantine needs to be over with 'cause this is what I'm doing for fun now.
it's playful, is what it is.
I love it.
It's very
It's
playful.
so
good
cool.
word for it.
It reminds me of Apple TV, the way you move over the icons and it
The
moves like
apps,
that.
and you can kind of wiggle
Yep.
them. Exactly.
I love it.
It's this merging of like tvOS and macOS had a baby.
It's merging so many things. It really is just they're moving towards one OS.
So
I feel like
this makes me really excited, even more so, to see what they're going to do in WWDC.
Oh yeah. I'm
Yes.
really hoping for extra monitor support because there's a fair
That would be huge.
There's a fair chance that I might be able to do Windows PC work on an iPad Pro pretty soon. Because
That would.
virtual desktop
That's why you need
is a
two
thing,
USB-C ports.
I guess. But yeah, actually yeah. Well, I mean, I already
guess.
have a power delivery hub, so it's not like I need to have that, but I could totally survive on one. My MacBook Pro is only connected with one right now, so I'm
Minimalism.
fine, folks. I'm fine with one. I
One
don't need two. One is fine.
Video output, power on the other. You're done.
No,
you could even
just-
close the iPad
just
and be done.
Hub in.
I would say
power
this
in,
is probably
video
one
out.
of the few cases that, unlike MacBook Pro, iMac, Mac Pro that needs a lot of I/Os, this is one of the few cases where it's like you only need two. This is more of a MacBook Air than the MacBook Air because it's better in every sense, and you can just use two USB-Cs, and they're universal ports.
Well, like
You can do so much with them.
the only way to get a MacBook Pro with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports is, I believe, $1,800. All the ones cheaper than 1,800 are just 2 Thunderbolt 3, and they're on the same side, which the iPad has over them.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I mean, when
guess
you
don't
get a
headphone
12.9
jack.
inch iPad Pro plus the keyboard, you're basically at that $1,300 threshold.
Right.
So.
Right. But you're getting
Right.
Face ID, ProMotion, LTE, decent cameras because the webcam on a MacBook is a joke. Apple Pencil support, touch interface. Like, the list goes on and on and on what the iPad has over the Mac hardware-wise, but the only reason a MacBook for so many people is going to be better is software that is compatible and
extensibility is, I think, the word I'd use to summarize the difference.
Maybe.
Because the Mac, like, just take FaceTime, right? Like, we've been trying to up the quality here. And on the Mac, you can select video and audio inputs for FaceTime.
Yes.
iPad, you can't do that. Which I guess iOS, it's fine. It all works just fine. But if I want to have a better angle and connect this camera to FaceTime, I can't do that on the iPad. I can do that on the Mac. So there's thousands of these little like customizability options that are not available on the iPad, which I think is arguably one of the strengths of the iPad. It's very focused. It's very like, okay, you want to make a FaceTime call? You're using this camera. Doesn't matter. But the Mac has a little bit more customizability, which is helpful for pro level stuff where you want to have that control.
True.
So that's my thought.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Randy.
I was gonna say I don't know where you're going with that, but another thing that in regards,
I wasn't going
to,
anywhere. I mean, sometimes I start a sentence and I don't really know where it's going. I just continue talking and hope I find it along the way.
Oh, okay, my turn. My turn now. I'm just gonna completely derail it. The keyboard, I love how clicky it is, and the trackpad.
like the
It's
travel.
surprising.
I do.
You prefer it over the Smartfolio keyboard? Because I don't have extensive experience with that.
Yeah.
No. Actually, I don't.
Randy went full Joker on that one. Why do you prefer... What do you...
Hello, Drew. You got jokes today. It's over there. I'm not even gonna go get it. It's so mushy. I liked it for what it was. Like, oh, if I know Nick's point, and
I don't know
there's
Nick's
truth to
point.
it.
What's better about the Smartfolio keys?
They feel like... I don't know how to describe it. Have you seen Neomorphic?
Clearly, Drew doesn't watch our streams.
That is true. Drew should watch my streams. They're totally awesome.
You should watch my videos. Let's
No,
go.
I don't watch your videos.
You did a Nick. He did an Aunt Sweeney. Videos.
I just didn't
Oh my
move the
God,
head.
Nick.
No, tell me. What's the reason?
So neomorphism is a design language in software that's kind of trendy right now. It's where it's all white with like crispy shadows and like material.
Yeah, I know it. I know
stuff.
it. Neomorphism.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
The whatever Folio keyboard
We also
is like
know Ethan.
the physical manifestation of neomorphism. Like it's all one
Why are
piece.
you using all those funny words?
It's
I know what it is. I get it. I get it.
It's all one piece and it's just
Who are you
gorgeous.
selling?
It's
Also,
fabric.
It is fabric, and it feels nice. It's like kind of tactilely, and it's like gooey,
Okay.
and they're bubbly, and they kind of like they have like a little clickiness to it, and I like it. Also, the space between the keys is a lot larger, which means the keys are smaller. But I find it's easier to get separation between the keys and know when my finger is on the correct key when there's a little bit of separation between them. Some people prefer larger keys, so they have larger targets to hit. I prefer more differentiation between the keys. So that's one thing I noticed. And yeah, also this doesn't get crumbs, which with the MacBook Pro I'm always scared with. I don't think I'd have to be scared because this is supposed to be a little bit better design, but it's all open. Like if I spill a bag of chips on the keyboard, it's not going to be good.
But you're not going to do that, right?
But I'm not going to do that because I'm taking care of my technology. So it's just a theoretical at this point. But with
a
this,
Magic Keyboard's much more reliable than Butterfly, that's for sure.
yeah, but this was like all encapsulated. Like I got this wet every once in a while, just like spraying like I don't know water like flew on it or whatever, and like it didn't die. It's fine because it's all encased in fabric, so I didn't submerge it or anything. But anyway, I feel like this is more durable.
I do agree that keyboard is safer for the messy nicks of the world. But,
Come on!
It's like a bike with training wheels.
there you go.
It's like it doesn't look better, and it probably isn't better overall, but it is safer.
So the reason why this new keyboard is like, can I actually? No, it's too bright. All right. Backlit keys is important. There's travel
I never liked those.
It's clicky. and I type a lot, and maybe it's a sense. I understand the aesthetic. Was it new amorphous? Anyway, I understand the aesthetic part of it, and it's cool for like the design element of it. However, it's also subjective because I think I like this modern, industrial-looking design more because I want my iPad to be that power horse, and I want to take the iPad more serious. That keyboard over there kind of reminds me that it's like, hey, it's still an iPad, is what you always hear with Marquez or anybody else, and to a certain degree, they're right.
Mm-hmm.
But here, I look at it like this is a Surface Book competitor now. This is.
I agree.
It trumps a lot of things where it's being taken more. It's maturing. It's growing up, and I love that. And I need it to be more proficient in certain elements, whether now with the trackpad and the UI with it, and just typing. Because if you want to work on it like it's an actual replacement for a work computer, I can't have mushy keys like that. I need to feel the travel because for me, and most people I would say who are in the workforce now would understand that transition of using a work computer, keys, to when you come home and you're using this keyboard, which has the same type of feel for it, to using an iPad. It's now more universally across the board with it. Not this standalone, cool-looking, feeling keyboard. It's now it's more efficient, and I like that, and I feel this is setting the foundation hardware wise for be like, okay, now here's Final Cut and everything else. That it doesn't trick your brain out where it's like, oh, I got to remember I'm using an iPad. It's trying to make it more seamless, and for those reasons.
That was going to be my argument, was that I think the consistency between the keyboard I use with my Mac and the iPad, they were trying to make those as similar as possible, including the trackpad, even though it's not Force Touch. Like, this is the most close to Force Touch trackpad that's not, there's no haptic feedback. It's actually clicking. But it's the most closest experience I've ever felt going from a traditional Apple Magic trackpad going to this. It's like, it's a real click now, but you can click anywhere. It's fairly consistent. It doesn't really give that much on one side compared to the other. And the size is quite a bit smaller, but because of the sensitivity of like how far the cursor goes when you move quickly, I can still reach everything.
What do you
I really
think about
thought the trackpad was going to be a... Yeah, that's what I thought was going to be a big issue, but when you move your finger faster, like you can reach the very bottom, you can go from the very top of the iPad to the very bottom in one move.
It moves so quick.
It's very, very
like the speed is intense.
fast for me. So I, at first, thought that was going to be a huge annoyance, but then I think yesterday I just sat down on the couch with it on my lap, and I used the iPad without touching it for a solid 2 hours, and it felt incredibly fluid. It felt like I just bought a new laptop, basically, and I was using a brand new machine for the first time, even though I've had this thing for almost 2 years. So that's why I think the price is high, but it warrants such a high price point because there's no other accessory that can do all the things this can. There's ones that cost less but do less, is my argument to the people saying, get the Bridge or get this other keyboard, Logitech or whatever. This one has a keyboard and a trackpad built in, so it's basically the same thing. Those don't use the smart connector. Those don't double your I/O. Those don't make it as easy to pull off when you need to. If you want to just convert to tablet mode, it's very, very easy to do. There's no go to settings, Bluetooth, pair. There's no I gotta charge the keyboard. All of that is worse. So that's why it's cheaper. Yeah. So yeah, you can pay less and get an accessory if all you care about is the keyboard and trackpad. Yes, there will be third-party accessories that can offer that for cheaper. Apple even sells one that's just a keyboard, if that's all you care about. But there is no accessory that can add all of the functionality that the Magic Keyboard can for that price point, which is why, in my opinion, not overpriced. But some may disagree. How do you feel about the viewing angles? Like, do you feel like there should have been a way for it to fold into a tablet mode?
I'm actually. Go ahead, Randy.
Yes, I'm gonna say there should have been a way to fold it into a tablet mode so you can have a closer experience when you break out Apple Pencil and you start writing on it.
Like the keyboard and trackpad all the way to the back. You mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of like the original from
Yeah.
the 9.7
Mm-hmm.
and the first iPad Pro key one where you can fold it backwards like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he almost did it, but I think it should do it. It should have done it, or they could have done it in a way so that way you can be more touch friendly for the drawers, for the anything with the pencil. Cool note taking. It would have been cool to see that. I will say that's where it kind of falls short.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a deal breaker for me. I don't think it's a deal breaker in general, but it would have been one more pro for the convenience factor, and it also does this. With that said, we do all acknowledge, all three of us, I think we've said it's heavy, and I don't. In one sense, that if you have the support to, you could push up against it because it's so heavy enough. Cool. I don't feel the need to want to keep, manipulating the keyboard with the weight. It doesn't feel as fluid because it's so rigid. I think if there had to be a give and take, I'd rather it not have the tablet mode where you can flip it and draw, if that meant that I had more angles in a way that keeps it support. When I showed you how you open it and then it unlocks it for it to wake up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'd rather have the functions of it is right now and it work the way it is right now and me just undock it to do what I got to do. It's not a deal breaker. And it's not like you can't lean into it. You just got to hover over your keyboard. It's not that big of a deal. It just, if they can't do it, I understand why. If they could have done it, it would have been cool to see it.
I think there's a delicate balance of like, people are saying it's heavy because the thing is it has to be. There's no way it would have worked if they made it super light, because then you would have had all the weight in the iPad. It would have, you would have tapped it lightly and it would have all fallen over.
That's the problem of the Surface Book too. Like I hated that computer. Like the hinge was so stiff that it did not pass the one finger test. This doesn't pass the one finger test either, but it's a little bit different. But you opened up the thing and anything past 80 degrees on the Surface Book, the front would start flying up. It was not well balanced at all.
So Apple doesn't let you have those extra angles, but it's because it wouldn't work very well if it did.
Agreed.
Which is why I'm guessing they kind of put that limitation on it, is because they were like, yeah, we could probably let it fold all the way back, but then it would be incredibly easy when you're trying to find the angle you like to knock the whole thing over. And knowing how thick the whole keyboard case is once it sandwiches the iPad, if they would have let it fold all the way on the back, which personally I'm not a huge fan of, just because I don't like having a keys and trackpad on the back of something when I'm holding it and you're pressing down. I remember trying that. The only time I've ever messed around with the Smart Folio keyboard was when you guys visited, which was over a year ago. And I remember folding it all the way to the back and feeling the keys and being like, ooh, that's kind of weird. Just because that would be...
That one was weird. The first one was better when it just had the one slot and you didn't have the two different slots to put it in. It actually had the triangular shape to keep it.
The whole origami
give
lesson.
It the support. Yeah.
Get that thing.
But it was nice. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked that from the original keyboard. I liked the new keyboard just because if I could have had a more upright position, that's fine. But I think out between the two, the original one was my favorite, and then it goes this one now, the original one, and then the one I just replaced. It's my least favorite.
Maybe it's not.
Because of that,
yeah.
you hold it.
Maybe it's not super minimal, but I am very comfortable with the idea of, if you need tablet mode, taking it off. I've noticed very quickly a lot of people not enjoying that idea, because they're like, no, I want to be able to fold it into a tablet mode, because then I have this case or this stand that's kind of sitting and I don't know what to do with it. Maybe it's not super minimal, but I'm fine with the idea of just put the case to the side, leave it at your desk, or put it back in your backpack, and then when you're ready for laptop mode, you can pull it out and dock it again. A lot of people, I guess, don't like that idea. They want it to be, if it's a case, it has to be on the iPad at all times and you don't take it off. But I think the magnets and the smart connector were designed so intuitively that it's not a hassle to pull off or put back on.
It's so easy to grab.
It's seriously, you just
boom,
bunk, and it's done.
It's off.
I would rather, if I'm using it in tablet mode, I would use it without a case or cover of any kind. Is way more comfortable to me than keeping all of this keyboard and trackpad attached to it and just fold it onto the back. It would make a really heavy, thick thing that I also just enjoy using things like my phone doesn't have a case. I like using things without any wear on them, and you're just interacting with the device, and there's no accessories in the way.
Did you guys ever use the like before even the keyboard? Now, when I would step away from my desk and I go sit on the couch or what have you and just lounge, I always took it out of the case because I wanted to appreciate how thin it was.
I do.
I was like, God.
I do take it out. Yeah.
So for me, it doesn't change my habit because I always used to do that regardless. I didn't want to bring a keyboard and a case and the clicky to like a couch or a bed or a lazy boy or what. I just wanted to lounge with it, pop it off, and I did it, and then I can appreciate it. I would go as far as like not only just taking it off, and then I was like, I know I'm not drawing, so I'm going to take the pencil and I'll leave that back too.
Yep.
And then I just like, I love this. And I just
No, I did. I don't
favorite.
even have a keyboard cover before this. I just had the regular standard screen cover, which the only thing I really used that for was covering the display and propping it up. It was like a little mount for when I used it on my desk. So maybe that's why I'm more comfortable switching to the Magic Keyboard case, because if I went to the couch with the iPad, I would take that cover off because I knew I'd be holding it. And I never had a cover with the 11-inch iPad Pro. I just used that without any cases or accessories of any kind. So that's probably why I'm more okay with it. I guess if there's people out there that never take their cases or accessories off, then that's a deterrent from the Magic Keyboard case.
I never really took mine off. I would take it off occasionally, maybe once a week.
Still not bent. I just did a live update.
Okay, good. Glad you're taking care of your stuff. I'm not. I didn't. I am right now.
But you didn't take it off.
Yeah, no. I just liked how thin. Honestly, this about doubled the thickness of the iPad, but the iPad was so thin to begin with. Once this case was on it, it felt like how an iPad is normally. I don't know, like a normal thickness device. The iPad alone is almost too thin in my opinion. Thin is subjective, I guess, but
yeah.
It was beautiful because it just flipped back there, and then I had this gorgeous iPad, and the case was just right there with the keyboard, and I could just flip it out, one. I got really good with this one little motion that it flipped around and caught right in there, and then it was in there, and I could unclick it and flip it all the way back, and it was beautiful. And I'm still keeping this, and I'm thinking I might try to enlarge the size of this camera hole if the new one doesn't fit in here. And see if I can get it to work.
What if it doesn't work?
Then I've wasted a keyboard that's practically useless.
Even if it
now.
does work, it's going to look terrible.
It will look terrible.
Isn't there metal in there?
I think it's hard plastic. I have no idea. I haven't given it a whole lot of thought, so everyone let me know exactly how wrong I am.
I have one discrepancy about the keyboard that I don't like.
Besides the flip around thing?
I don't not like that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's. I'm willing to grow and mature with the iPad if it's going to be more mature. You know what I mean? And so, however, now that I see my hands are now rested more at the trackpad, sliding around, doing what I got to do, I wish there was a dedicated key function, even if it's just for iPad OS or something. I can hit the button and it just puts it in sleep mode. It locks it. I don't like that. I wait the 30 seconds or however long I have it set for it to turn off. I don't have
an auto off thing.
Yeah, I turn that off.
You don't?
Yeah, mine stay on as long as I tell them to.
Yeah.
That's why your guys' batteries are crap. I'm just assuming your guys' batteries are bad.
Great.
I don't. Even if there was maybe I can scroll over and hit something software wise, but I don't want to put any additional assistive touch anything. But if I'm just clicking and I'm right by where it needs to be, I want there to be a dedicated sleep, and then that's it. That would have been cool.
There's a bunch of shortcuts I think they should add that aren't doing anything currently. If they let you in settings do a command or option minus or plus for display brightness or volume, because there's no volume or display brightness keys like there are on a Mac. So that feels odd. With this design, seeing how the floating iPad works, I get why they didn't put a row of function keys up there, because it would be covered by the iPad and really uncomfortable. But I think there's software workarounds that they could add in the future. They just haven't. But if there was a command O for off, you could just turn off the display with a shortcut like that. Or there's a bunch of shortcut potentials that don't do anything now that I'm just let that be an option.
How about this? home screen. You're at your home screen right now.
Yeah.
And you hit the little bottom left where the emojis would come up.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, sleep.
That's just
like
to
that.
sleep.
It's right there.
Yeah.
It's by your finger.
That could work.
Done.
Maybe hold it for a few seconds.
Yeah, I think
don't know.
you'd want to hold that.
As a like, hey, make sure like it's intentional, wasn't an accidental click.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Hold it. 1, 2, sleep. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Or they could
Something, but
on the Mac you have the Apple logo and then down to sleep. If in Control Center they added a sleep button that you clicked down, that would be very Mac-like in that way.
that would be so cool. That would be, as you're talking about, it bridges the gap and it's more.
I like the shortcut better,
that-
but yeah, if there was I was thinking Mac
Something
doesn't
like that.
even have a shortcut to just press a key and then the display goes off. I don't know.
On my work computer, I just
Windows down.
I assigned the power button to be sleep when I click it.
Mhm.
So I'm used to having it, but that's a security
That's
function.
true. You have the
need to do
Touch
that.
ID button on the MacBook. I guess you can hold that.
Something that you can assign as a dedicated, like it's an off or on. Just click it, boom, boom. But yeah, it's true. So you have the Touch ID for a MacBook. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't want to touch the screen. Not because I don't want to touch it. I just rather that's the one part that takes me out of the experience of it just being fluid. It is when I'm ready to walk away, because I'm not going to close the laptop or oh my god, I called it a laptop.
'Cause it is. It counts. It's a laptop in that configuration.
I'm not going to close it when I'm done. I will only close it when I'm traveling. I'm not going to close the iPad. Wow. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm not going to close it when I'm just going to walk away for a couple hours or for the rest of the day. I'm only going to close it when I'm taking it with me or something, and it's about to travel with me. And
When does that happen
I'll undock it when I
anymore?
want to bring it with me.
Yeah. When does the
Yeah.
iPad travel? I think all the hardware is there for even better experiences, which is why there's a lot of hype. I'm not going to get everything I want in June, but I can dream at this point. I can envision like, oh man, if they add these shortcuts, if they add Final Cut, if they add Logic, that kind of thing, this could really become a MacBook killer in several ways. It already has, probably, for a lot of people.
In most ways, yeah.
I mean, the fact that I've never used a laptop with 120 hertz or Face ID, those things, they may seem
Windows
small,
Hello
but
is a thing. The Surface Book 2
I've used
had
that.
Windows
It's
Hello.
not as good.
That was junky.
I know. I've used Windows Hello, but I mean the integration with like my banking apps and iCloud keychain passwords, like there's different accounts for like paying bills and stuff I have to manage, and the fact that with this laptop experience I can just click on them, Face ID activates, and then I'm in, opposed to on the MacBook where you'd have to click on the search box and then hold your finger on Touch ID sensor and then log in. Like, it's way faster, more seamless than it would be on a MacBook. And the buttery smooth scrolling and stuff like that. It's like so much better than a Mac in so many different ways that when I went back to my iMac, I'm like, this isn't what I like. So yeah, it's all just some software limitations. But I really enjoy it, and I'm not getting rid of it. I'm gonna use this thing. My biggest wish now is that when they make future iPad Pros, they don't change the design, because I would hate it if when a new iPad Pro came out, I had to get a new keyboard case with it. So I'm hoping they don't change the overall footprint in the connector.
They'll just make the
position
camera
and
that
stuff
much
like
larger, so you have to buy a new one anyway. It'll get a 6-camera setup.
It'll be larger than the current cutout.
Was there room on that little camera cutout part where the sensors, like, they can grow and not change the footprint of it?
Nick will have to tell us. I don't know.
I mean,
You had it, Drew.
Yeah, but I didn't have it with the keyboard case. I don't know.
no.
But I mean, just on the iPad itself. Like,
Probably
does it look like the
not.
sensors
I mean,
have room to grow in it?
I don't know what they're going to add, though. Do they really care about
They
telephoto?
need to get a 12-megapixel wide angle in there ASAP.
Yeah.
Because what the heck?
I mean, they can update
still mad
ultra
about
wide
that.
and regular without increasing the camera bump. But the only reason to make the camera bump even larger is if they wanted to add more lenses, which it took 10 years for the iPad to get a dual camera. So I imagine it's not going to be a triple camera anytime soon.
I completely disagree with the dual camera premise of the whole.
You don't think the
It
iPad
doesn't-
needs... What about LiDAR? Are you against LiDAR?
No,
Okay. So LiDAR
No, you don't want it, or no, you don't
understandable.
not want it.
I'm not against LiDAR.
So for AR stuff...
I am against. Yeah, I'm against ultra wide on an iPad just because that's wasted space. No,
I think it's for AR purposes.
Apple, read the room. Nobody's doing that with your iPads. Like, you might use the main one for like measuring if you want to push that. If you want to push that gimmick of like, oh, look what AR can do. You can measure more accurately. Cool. I'm all about it. Ultra wide with less pixels and stuff. I don't understand. Well, maybe you want to capture the whole room when you're architecting the building. Like, calm down. I don't think that's it. I think they put it in there because they imagine. Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second. They put it in there because, like we've said, there's more use cases with wide angle than telephoto. Telephoto, you punch in on something which can maybe be theoretically improved on with software to where you gain pixels by actually using ultra wide, and maybe you can have a use case for a more 3D AR experience that requires more depth or more viewing angles. Sure, but I don't want that to be a lens. Let it be the sensor for LiDAR. Cool, have at it. The LiDAR could have a 180 range for all I care that sees from iPad to iPad on a single, cutout. Cool, but I don't want us to do anything with it. Let it be the tech for what it needs for software, but I'm against more keep the cub out because I agree. What if they have to adjust cases, accessories, even third party? Sure, but everything else then, because if you start adding more, hey, now that we got 5 lenses on iPhone, let's put 3 lenses on iPad. No, I don't care. I don't want it. You don't need it. Improve the front-facing camera. Give me front-facing camera strength.
Well, I agree.
Give me that.
I agree there. I think I disagree a little bit just because when I had ultra-wide on the 2020 iPad, it was like handy because after a while it became like that was the default for me. And 1X started feeling like too zoomed in. Just for like demos or taking photos and video. Just because it's such a large viewfinder, I guess. Maybe that's why I like having the extra field of view. But definitely like for those use cases of AR and stuff, like it's definitely, I agree, it's not a photography primary device. It's like handy for photo and document scanning and stuff like that, but a telephoto makes very little sense. If they ever add a telephoto to the iPad, I'll just be like, what? Oh, God, they're just bored at that point. The ultra wide, there's some AR. I personally think it probably helps the augmented reality software to have 2 cameras for the kind of the parallax measuring along with the LiDAR, so I can kind of get it. But yeah, that's my guess is that the next couple of iPad Pro upgrades are still going to have that same camera module. I don't think they're going to get bigger. I hope.
I'm still holding out that they'll give the 11 Pro's camera setup plus a LiDAR to the iPad. That would. I know. I
don't want telephoto.
Well, I want the same camera options with multiple devices. Okay. So if I'm making content, whether that's streaming video to my Mac and then onto YouTube or making a vlog or whatever, it's nice to have more than one high quality camera, which is kind of why I got the iPhone 10 as a backup camera. But still, that camera doesn't have wide angle and it's not, it doesn't do everything. I would love to have basically a second 11 Pro, but it's not worth upgrading. At this point, I'm keeping this next iPad for many, many years. You guys are going to have your mini LED beautiful iPads, and I'll still be rocking the.
I don't know about that next gen. Like, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do because I've said before,
you're going to review it and you're going to return it.
Randy calls it over 18 months in advance.
That's not impossible. I just mean like. I'm not sure if I want to get another 12.9 inch to kind of just take the current iPad I have with its keyboard case and just pop it in with a new one with mini LED, so it's like OLED-like display and it's really color accurate and cool and everything. But at the same time, I'm wondering if like maybe it makes more sense to get an 11 inch and just treat it as a tablet, and I'm not going to use it as a 2-in-1, which isn't very minimal to have 2 iPads. But I could have a MacBook at that point.
Or essential. It's not practical.
No, because if I want to just use a tablet, I can pull this one off. But it's just we're getting to the point now where, I'm going to have a hard time justifying. The only way I could justify an iPad Pro upgrade is if perhaps they update when the mini LED one comes out, which I'm guessing will be sometime next year, 2021 summer maybe, or March. Then at that point, maybe they have we've had Final Cut Pro for a long time, but this device only has 4 gigs of RAM, and the A12X chip is pretty fast and it's decent. But maybe in the future when we have A14X and maybe I'm trying to edit 4K at 60 tech videos on Final Cut, and we find out that there's actually some feature differences between, okay, if you want to be able to edit this type of footage and do this type of color correction and for it to play back in real time, that's actually going to require a few more gigs of RAM, A14X, and A12X isn't going to cut it. Then I'd be like, okay, if I want this to be like a MacBook competitor for me, then okay, yeah, I'll buy that for the higher performance. But at this point, that's still a mystery because I don't know how Final Cut will perform on the iPad. LumaFusion works great. So if Final Cut can work as reliably as LumaFusion, maybe it doesn't. Maybe specs aren't that big a deal. But who knows? Apple likes to provide certain features to certain CPUs, and that's why the SE has certain things with the A13 that other phones with almost identical hardware don't have. So there could be some kind of feature differences in there, but I don't know. We'll see.
So
a display isn't a big enough deal, though. The iPad Pro display is great. I'm sorry. I'm not in that camp of people. That's
it's a very mature product.
OLED. I don't care about the. It's great. Like I way prefer 120 hertz LCD to 60 hertz OLED, but probably a lot of people disagree.
And I would be fine with a 24 hertz LCD. So I can't notice those things.
Crap. Okay, gotcha.
So Drew, you've used. I think you're the original person to tout LumaFusion. Like remembering back to the good old days. Like you're the first person I ever heard about LumaFusion. Well, yeah, whatever. You're the first person in my world that used LumaFusion.
No one was talking about it before then. That's what it felt like.
Right.
What do you like about Final Cut over LumaFusion? Because this video is being edited in LumaFusion right now.
Okay.
Like I love LumaFusion. What's some stuff that you don't like about it, or why do you want Final Cut to come to iPad?
Well, there's not huge reasons I have, because I haven't messed around extensively with LumaFusion lately, but there have been people I follow that are saying like this. Maybe I'm waiting for them to support keyboard and mouse a little bit more optimized.
Yeah,
like right now, I don't think they. Yeah,
no.
So they probably they're a really really solid developer team though. So I'm sure they're working on it as we speak, and they're probably thinking, okay, how can we revamp LumaFusion to be keyboard trackpad optimized? So maybe my opinion will change when that comes out. But if there's certain things like my animations, my intros and my outros that I don't know how the iPad will handle.
It actually doesn't.
And I don't even know if it... Yeah.
I tried to do that. You'd sent me whatever file you have your animations in, and it was like,
see,
this
that's
device does not support this file type.
There's certain file types and that kind of thing that I think are a little bit of a holdback.
Okay.
So... I'm not sure how Apple's going to handle Final Cut, whether it's just going to be like iMovie Plus, iMovie revamped, where they just give iMovie some more features, or they're going to be like, we're going to try to bring, to the best of our ability, every ability Final Cut on the Mac has to the iPad, which if they brought like 90% of it, it could probably work for me. And then we can compare export times and see how it goes. But like... I guess just the first party, I know how well Apple is able to optimize first party software because they know the hardware they're working with. So if they were able to bring that, and it's fluid and it has the cursor, bubbles, and it has it has all the shortcuts that rival what it is on the Mac, then it would be such an easy conversion process, whereas LumaFusion is kind of relearning editing all over again. So... Because when I did all my videos on the iPad, LumaFusion wasn't a thing. I had to do it all on iMovie back then. Yeah. LumaFusion came out after I started doing more stuff on the Mac, just for efficiency standpoint. It's like, I know you can do it on the iPad. It's just not as fast. So that's why I don't. So yeah, I guess if LumaFusion did some type of rehaul to make it trackpad and keyboard optimized, then I would be willing to give it a shot again. I still have it, and I still use it occasionally for brief things, but... Yeah, I think if Apple endorsed it and said, now you can do high-end advanced
Can I
video
add
editing.
one more to it?
Yeah.
The reason why somebody asked me this on one of the streams I did this weekend. I said stacking was a priority for me, and I have. Oh, look at that!
Skip Rose, you're back.
Stacking the timelines.
Stacking the timelines is very important to me for my type of video content. I do a lot of like overlays and stuff like that, and I said that like I need more than 6, like 3 up, 3 down, and then somebody's like, I think it's 6 up and 6 down.
Yeah.
Cool. So I found another thing why I don't like LumaFusion as much. I do like it for what it is. It's worth the $20 that you put into it, hands down.
Yeah.
I need Final Cut more with the hundreds that I put into it because how deeply integrated you can get fine detail editing with color grading, and I don't like the LUTs that are preloaded onto Luma.
Okay.
You can get more granular in regards to Final Cut editing when it comes to color grading, adjustments, exposure, the whole thing, and it's easier to take everything that you edit from one clip, copy the attributes and the effects to it, paste it into the next one, and in a more seamless way. So maybe part of the U-Haul with doing the overhaul with doing
the overhaul of the UI is what he meant to say.
The U-Haul overhaul, the overhaul
UI
of trackpad and mouse support, or trackpad and keyboard and all that. There's so much more seamless transitions that you can do between your edited clips, between the unedited clips, and the way you can punch in once you combine them to a combined clip, and you can make adjustments after you've already made the edits. It's Final Cut thought of it all, and it is for that. It is a pro application. If LumaFusion did something like that, like Luma Pro, if they did in some capacity, because I don't see it being worth $20. Like if they did all that and it's $20, I'll never use Final Cut because it's $20. But there are limitations that beats iMovie, but there are still, I think, critical limitations to do an effective video edit that only Final Cut can do right now for me. And Apple, because obviously, like Adobe does as well, but like in the scheme of Apple, like Final Cut is not even close to being trumped over anything yet. Still,
and it's special. I mean, on Windows too. There's not really a Final Cut like Windows alternative.
You can use Adobe Premiere. It only
it's not as
screams at you a few times a day.
Yeah, break all your speakers and ruin all your presets, and $50 a month, and it's great.
$50 a month, my goodness.
Wow. I mean, there's good editing
forever.
Yeah, and you cannot buy it outright anymore. It used to let you, but they get you when you're young. That's what they do. When you're a student, it's not that bad. I remember because that's when I signed up for it. It was like, $20 a month? That's pretty good. We can make $20 a month work. And then a few years later, it's like, it's going to be $30 a month now. You've been on the student program for like 4 years. I'm like, oh, okay. And then 2 years in, they're like, it's going to be $50 now. I was like, what? 50? What's changing? Oh, nothing. It's just 50 now. That's
the high class customer support is changing.
Yeah. And it was still not even working that well. Just like the export times compared to Final Cut, and there's good editing apps out there. They're just none of them are as optimized as Final Cut is, because it's like it'd be really interesting if Microsoft made a video editing software and just built it, like not Windows Movie Maker, but
I was going to say
a pro version, Windows Movie Maker Pro X,
Windows Media Maker.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Cortana Live.
Because I used the very first editing I ever used was Windows Movie Maker, and
problem is there's just so many more Windows machines to optimize for. So
yeah,
you have to make it work. You have to make it work on the Intel Celeron. If Microsoft
stepped into that game, they would be pretty good with it.
How can it work off the celery chip?
The celery trip.
Yeah. No, but that's probably why Apple has so much optimization, is because they know exactly what computers they're designing it for. They're like, okay, this is the minimum, this is the maximum, so we know our boundaries. Whereas Windows is like, I don't know. Does this work on a refrigerator? Or I don't know.
But can you play Doom on it?
But can it play Doom?
Can you load Doom onto
That's
it?
That's the ultimate test. Yeah. The Magic Keyboard case, in conclusion, is not for everybody, but
No, this
in my
is
opinion,
not for everybody.
No, not at all. But in my opinion, it's why an iPad Air 4 that's a recycled iPad Pro design is a really, really important product right now, because then you could argue that you can get an iPad as a 2-in-1 for like $800, because if similar to how the current iPad Air is compatible with the accessories of the 10.5-inch iPad Pro from 2017, it's the same size and everything. If they recycled the 2018 iPad Pro design, changed up some of the specs, and it was still compatible with the Magic Keyboard case.
SE treatment on a 2018 iPad Pro.
Exactly. Yeah. Give it a decent CPU, but no
so we're
promotion.
Glass back, single camera, single Apple logo, no text at the bottom. Drew, what do you think about the iPhone SE? The other product that shipped today.
It's so weird. It's the most clean, minimal
It's
design.
just blinding white. The light is just, it's just, I cannot look at it.
Like, it's
when you
gorgeous.
need a white balance, just point at that for a second.
That is like
it is
heavenly.
gorgeous though. Like, I can't think of a more minimal, like, no one has given me a more minimal iPhone design. I can't think of one, because there's no iPhone text. There's no like metal/glass design like the last SE, and there's no giant black plastic piece like the original iPhone. It's just one color, camera, mic, flash, logo. That's it. There's nothing else. I know in different countries they have different writings on the back, but in the US at least there's no writing. So that part of it is gorgeous. This part's pretty, the same. And I haven't used a home button iPhone since early 2018. So I guess when I first got the iPhone 10, yep, I've switched to this. This is my daily. This is in my pocket.
I haven't watched
my
any of
Apple
your videos,
Watch.
so I'm sure you've probably already.
I didn't talk about that, but
okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I do watch all your videos.
I put
Drew.
the Mint. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. The Mint SIM is in there. It's paired with my Apple Watch and my 11 Pro Max. I'm using to record this, but other than that, I don't use it now. I'm just going to use it for the extent of the return window. I like testing out iPhones because I don't have to become the green guy, so I can still have all my. Yeah, I don't have to leave the ecosystem or anything, and I can still vlog on here. Thank you. I still have 4K at 60 Drew. And stuff, but the first time I switched to the iPhone 10, and I was like, "This is cool. I love gestures. I love Face ID." Used that for a few months. Then the Red 8 Plus came out, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's awesome. I got to test that for a while." And that video actually did really well. So I switched to the 8 Plus for a couple of months before I went back to the 10 again. And that was the last time I extensively used like a home button iPhone. And because it was so fresh, like I had just been using an 8 Plus not long ago, it was pretty familiar. I was like, okay, back to Touch ID, back to home button. I get this. I miss the size. I miss the width and the keyboard. And the Plus size was better, in my opinion, than the iPhone 10 being 5.8 inch. So now, though, I've been on...
How dare you?
Now, since then, I've been on 10s Max and 10R, which are both gesture controlled and both Face ID and both pretty larger size phones for the longest time, and then 11 Pro Max for 6 to 7 months till now. So I've been very, very set in my ways for quite a while with Face ID and gestures, and I'm just so used to that. So now going back to this, it is not a familiar, easy learning curve. It's like now I'm going back to trying to swipe up when I'm on apps, and I'm like, wait, that's Control Center. That doesn't go there. That's not supposed to be there. And Touch ID I had to relearn how to use. I'm like, so wait, I rest the finger. It says unlocked. Now I can press home. Or I can just press home once, and it just jumps straight to the home screen. And some people prefer that. I think it's kind of weird to have your like lock screen and then slide up real quick. And the no tap to wake is throwing me off, that I can't touch the display and have it turn on. There is raise to wake, which is...
As it turned on.
Yeah, that was a bad example because raise to wake was working. But like if it's all the way off, let me turn it all the way off. That does nothing. And I'm not like, oh yeah, I got to press there.
No. We're going to use the first shot for the edit.
There you go.
That's what we're going with.
And also just how tiny the screen is. It's so like, especially in like Twitter and Discord and texting people, it's like,
because you're used to your Max.
I'm used to my behemoth
Pro Max
6.5-inch screen,
and I'm over here like, hey Drew, can I use it when you're done? The SE? I remember going from 10s or I'm sorry, 10,
Uh-huh.
which was it's a little bit bigger. I was like, okay, it is what it is. I downsized. I went from 7 Plus to 10.
Mm-hmm.
10, it's an iPhone 8 product red. And I was like, I'm home. And
Yeah.
I remember how small.
It was kind of
and
familiar.
I loved it. But like you, it's like I had all these years of like, that form factor. I was so used to it. And when I had my iPhone 5S a couple weeks ago, when I was doing photos and stuff on it, I was swiping up when I meant to click home. I'm like,
So
I love the form factor, but I am now completely embedded in gestures because now the iPad does gestures. Everything that I do when it comes to iOS or anything,
No home button.
gestures, no home button.
So it's weird.
And I'm in it. I'm in it for the long haul now.
So that frustration and learning curve that you've experienced, Drew, is probably pretty similar to what someone who's used to Touch ID and the old ways feels when, I'm asking my grandparents to upgrade to, an 11 or whatever. That's that same like resistance. So maybe I should try that. That'd be an interesting experiment because I am curious
fun.
what it would be like to because you're right that you'd be drinking up Control Center, and I'd be swiping down Notification Center looking for Control Center, and like they changed
Also,
a lot with the iPhone 10.
They have. There's small things that I didn't even notice, but when I'm in like Twitter or Discord or something, like things feel more smushed. Maybe it's because when they did the curved corners on the iPhone 10 and now on the 11 Pro Max, they decided to let icons and widgets and things in the corners like breathe a little bit. They're further away from the edges, whereas on things like the SE, like the text and the carrier and the time and the battery, they're like really, really close to the edges of the display. And it feels much more crammed than it did on the Pro Max, which makes sense just because it's smaller. So, like it's people sometimes when you go back to an older design or an old phone, people are always like, so you're gonna realize how much you liked it and you actually preferred the home button, and you might like that it's more easy for one hand to use. I'm like, nope, not at all. Don't miss this. Don't want this. Miss my Pro Max instantly. Want to go back right away. Want a bigger phone than the Pro Max, actually. But so
how dare you? Blasphemy!
Yeah, I mean,
Steve Jobs is so mad right now.
It's some people say it's a really exciting phone. I mean, it's exciting.
The price is
from
exciting.
A business perspective.
Oh, for sure.
From an Apple business decision, it's exciting. From a test the phone yourself, it's incredibly boring. You unbox it, set it up, and you're like,
give me that form factor in your hand right now with gestures.
Yeah,
I'm about it.
That's what's coming. 5.4 inch.
I'm okay with that, but just don't compromise the camera. That's it.
Sorry,
I need it.
They have to.
I need it.
They gotta compromise something. But no, it makes me very curious. Like
compromise the size. I'll take a hit. 1080 if 1080 or even 720. I get it. It's small. I don't need all those pixels. Fine. Just give me the camera.
Randy
please.
always says size doesn't matter.
You know what? We're gonna keep this family friendly.
Okay.
unlike the beginning.
I'm gonna be the bigger person.
Okay.
No, but like I'm hearing reports that it's possible that the 6.7 inch 12 Pro Max this year is going to be like delayed, like production is going to be later than the rest of the iPhones. If that ends up being the case, I'd be kind of curious. Right after you say family friendly.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
So for the iPhone 12s, when those come out and I have to get one first before I get the Pro Max when that eventually launches, I might just try for fun going with the 5.4 inch iPhone 12 just to see like this form factor, but with no home button and gesture controls and Face ID. That might be kind of interesting. It'd be an interesting contrast to this phone. To be like, okay,
come with me to a place in a faraway land.
I think
where
for
there's no home buttons but screen.
Yeah, I think for the keyboard alone, I'm always going to go back to because now even just today when I had to set up this phone for recording the podcast, when I picked it up, I was like, oh, this is so much better. It's like going back.
You're just used to it, Drew. It's okay.
But I had the iPhone 10 for a long time, and I still.
You will be hooked on the smaller form factor, and you will be like, you know what? My big hands have so much room to do other big hand things.
Come on, look back at Drew's tech preferences. He's never defaulted back on the smaller display. I tried the 11-inch iPad Pro, went back to 12.9.
If we can convince Nick to not max size everything, and I can convince you to do a smaller.
When did you get me to not
I haven't
max
tried.
size everything?
Also, to be fair, I haven't tried.
He got the maxed
What'd you
out.
say?
He got the best maxed out iPad possible. So it hasn't worked.
Because of a past mistake he made that
Under your advice.
No, we did not talk about that. We did not talk about the iPad. I will
It's
not.
the same logic that I used to get the 64 gig phone,
From
which
now
I also
on, when
hate.
you buy an Apple product, you're going to bring it to the podcast. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to make an executive decision. Drew and I are your parents now.
Well-
So from now on, you're going to talk to us about your spending
I
habits.
need
Daddy.
to emphasize how little I like this form factor. I love
don't.
the back design of this phone, but I absolutely hate
hurt
the
me.
form factor. Like it's almost annoying to the point that when it's in my pocket, I can't even tell if it's there. I have to feel for it. I'm like, oh yeah, it's there. It's so thin and
Once
light.
upon a time, you had a smaller phone than that. Just remember.
I know, and then I stopped buying that phone because they came out with the 6 Plus. I've never actually extensively used this form factor. Like, I went from the 5 to the 6 Plus to the 7 Plus to 8 Plus. And then I had the 10, which was my chance to get in love with a smaller form factor, and I went, nah, need it bigger. I want
And then he went to 8 Plus.
because yeah, I went back to the 8 Plus after the 10 and went, I prefer this. This is better, even though it has a home button, because I like that width, because us big boys got big hands and we got to use the biggest screen.
Weird.
Y'all weird.
There's some. There's something in your water. I don't know. I drink
There
that
is probably.
TJ Mexican water here, and it keeps me stunted in growth.
I also switched to the 10R for a few months, and I
did?
still missed
I
the
remember.
10S Max. I went back to that because
The 10R, in my opinion, was the perfect size for that form factor with the notch and that current design. I remember telling you like, oh, this is awesome. It was like perfect. I would have kept it. Admittedly, it's crazy because I think even though I love small form factor, I can be swayed either way about the size, because I would have kept the 10R if I didn't end up giving it to my brother as like a birthday gift. And I was like, here you go, buddy. I would have kept with that, and then from there, I would have never got the 10S. I would have gone from 10R to 11 Pro, and there's a very high probability I would have got the 11 Pro Max, because we talked about it on the show.
Yeah, you
I was
were
like, guys,
close.
should I get the small or big one? Yeah. And I might, depending, we'll see. I might get the bigger form factor if there has to be a benefit to it. And
other than battery.
I was not so like, do I want? Yeah, maybe. Battery, those extra lenses if there is one. I won't be so stubborn about compromising size when I care so much about the photography or the videography over anything else. Because we just assume, hey, battery's going to be better. The processing chip is going to make it more efficient. Those are like givens at this point, I would say. So now the real thing that's like, oh, well, I don't know, is camera. And going from 11 Pro series, whether it's Max or regular, to whatever the 12 is going to be, this is the best phone I've ever had, period. And not in the every year is the best phone. I mean, genuinely,
It's all about the color,
OS
Drew.
is perfect
We can
now.
just ignore what he's about to say. It's only because of the color.
I was gonna say because it's midnight green.
It's midnight green. If it came out with blue, if they kept this around and they got the blue, I think I would try out the blue just to mix
That's
it up.
what it's rumored to be.
Like
It's gonna
10R
be a navy
blue, or
this
like
year.
midnight blue?
No, like an iPhone 5 midnight blue.
Oh, slate. Okay.
Kind of like that. Well, that's what the rumors
Oh.
are. I don't know the exact color finish, but I'm just saying that's what reports are
We need
claiming.
people to start leaking the glasses, the glass chips again.
Yeah,
'cause that was pretty spot
Well,
on.
none of them got midnight
Yeah.
green though. That was a surprise.
It was a surprise. There was
no
probably the
leaks for
last
that.
time I was surprised at an Apple event. Like, it was
Since
also
Apple
the
Watch.
last Apple event that I've seen, because Apple hasn't had an event since then. But
Oh, you're right. That's
My
weird.
goodness.
I don't want to talk about it.
No, I will get if they have a jet black, I'll get that, or if they have a product red, I will get that. I stay true to those two colors. That's the only way to get me out of silver. Otherwise, I'm sticking with white. White looks classy and it complements other colors really well, and
It's a good looking phone you got there.
What I'm
SE.
annoyed by the about the midnight green is that they didn't do an Apple Watch in midnight green. Then you could have the combo.
True.
They didn't do that, and that annoys me.
I would have bought the heck out of it.
Even if it was only stainless steel,
Even if it was only Series 5.
you would turn off always on display.
Yeah, I would have. You're right. I was trying to be mature and not bring it up, but this is the best color ever, and I'm not gonna. Yeah, I would have done it for iPad, MacBook, you name it. Midnight green, all things.
I've talked about this before, but I wish they did aluminum with matte frosted glass, because I like
that would have been beautiful.
I like the look of aluminum because stainless steel is nice, but it collects little fingerprints and micro scratches over time. And if they had a matte edge and a matte back, I think that would look the best. But they don't. They have aluminum edges and glossy back, or glossy edges and matte back. So like stainless steel is cool, but at the same time, if they made a Pro phone and it was aluminum, I would dig it. That would look great. That would match the iPad, and then I could get an aluminum watch maybe. But it looks good. I just hate that it's not sapphire glass. If they could bring that to
True.
Yeah. There's too many.
Apple, let us just customize every aspect of our watch. If
Yeah,
we want
let us control
green-colored
every aspect.
crown ring, we need to have a green-colored crown ring.
That would be
The
great.
customer does know what they want.
Yeah, maybe if phones get boring enough, they'll just let you start customizing every part of it. I
Like
want
those
sapphire
Nike tennis
glass
shoes?
because I don't. Yeah, kind of. Or like, what if you wanted sapphire glass on the phone? They just let that be an option. like, I don't drop
$4,000
it.
later.
That was supposed to be like a thing for iPhone 6. They were
Yeah,
trying
I
that
think
out.
so.
Or something?
It's more prone to cracking if you drop it, but if you don't drop it, you'd be like, I'm better than that. It won't
Well,
scratch.
if we don't go 50 foot up on a balcony or someplace and start I mean, I don't see a point. Why would anybody do that then?
Ooh.
Well, it's like your phone doesn't break on glass that easily because it's not sapphire glass. It's typical Gorilla Ion X glass.
And
or
honestly,
whatever.
it doesn't scratch all that much. Like, I've
Mine does.
been
I've been
using
caseless
this,
and I've never dropped
The back
it.
of my 11 Pro is like surprisingly
Oh,
scratch
the back
free.
is fine.
The front
I'm
is
talking about.
yeah, it has some scratches, but
The front could have
could we have a matte
have some work
screen?
done.
Could we get this matte glass in
Like the Pro
transparent?
display.
Yes.
You have to wipe it with a cloth made of rabbit hide.
No,
like a
baby
very, very
puppies. You have
particular-
to wipe it with little
Baby
baby
puppies.
puppies. That was redundant.
You have to wipe it down with a chinchilla that comes in the box. It's in a very specific cage because it's such a fine material. Oh,
The way the HomePod has that like it looks like there's not a screen, and then Siri kind of just comes to life on top. Do that in some capacity would be.
Then
just
you
a
couldn't
cool
read
thing.
anything. You'd be like, I can't read this text
That's fine.
message. Siri, read me my text
No, but
messages. Sorry.
I want that too.
I mean, if we're just talking about being bored, do it on the watch. That would be cool on the watch.
What time is it? I don't know.
I mean,
it's a blur o'clock.
the display,
No, it'd be
the
complete-
colors on the HomePod are like 4 lights.
Yeah. Oh, I think 170
change
something
colors.
are LEDs. 170 something LEDs.
They're not.
underneath.
They're not like pixels. Like
They're
you
not
couldn't
pixels.
put text on the HomePod.
They're
screen.
RGB LEDs.
Right.
So even more of a reason why it could be on the watch because
Just the
watch-
time.
just the time.
Yeah. All right.
Siri's just constantly talking to you at it. So yeah.
Well, do we have closing thoughts?
nope.
The
All right.
Air power's dead.
Air power's gone because the Magic keyboard case is actually much better than Nick expected. So take that.
Nah.
Hey.
Take it. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you all next week. Take care. Bye bye.
Peace.